If you invested just $1 every single day since the pyramids were built, you still wouldn't own the most valuable asset ever. Because finding it isn't as simple as looking at the richest person or the biggest company. We'll have to climb through the entire financial world. And strangely enough, we start with something sitting in your wallet. Money. A single $1 bill costs only a few cents to print. It's just cotton, linen, ink, and a serial number. Yet billions of people spend their entire lives chasing pieces of paper that cost less to make than a cup of coffee. But money itself isn't particularly valuable. It's simply a tool. To find the most valuable asset ever, we need something that actually grows. And that brings us to one of humanity's oldest investments: land. Around 10,000 years ago, humans stopped wandering and started farming. Owning a patch of dirt suddenly meant owning food. Owning food meant survival, and survival quickly became wealth. Empires rose because they controlled land. Wars started because someone wanted more of it. Today, farmland across the world is worth tens of trillions of dollars. But even that isn't the most valuable asset ever. Because land has one problem: it can't move. Trade can. About 600 years ago, merchants in Venice discovered something extraordinary. Instead of carrying gold across dangerous oceans, they carried pieces of paper promising payment. Those tiny promises evolved into banks. Banks evolved into financial systems. And financial systems changed civilization. Today, banks don't simply store money. They create it. Through lending, a single deposited dollar can become many more circulating through the economy. That's an incredible machine. But there was something even more powerful: ownership. In 1602, a group of Dutch merchants accidentally invented one of the greatest financial ideas in history. Instead of owning an entire business, thousands of people could each own a tiny piece of one. The stock market was born. Now wealth could grow while you slept. Some companies became worth more than entire kingdoms, but even stocks weren't the final answer, because companies come and go. Ideas don't. Imagine buying a few shares of a tiny online bookstore in 1997. People laughed. Bookstores already existed. Who needed another one? That bookstore became Amazon. Early investors didn't just make money. Many became millionaires, but Amazon wasn't unique. Apple, Microsoft, Google, Nvidia, each started as an idea before becoming trillion-dollar giants, which reveals something surprising. The most valuable companies weren't built from factories. They were built from knowledge. But knowledge itself isn't the final asset, because knowledge without trust has very little value. The global financial system runs on something you can't touch: confidence. Every morning, millions of people accept dollars, euros, yen, and pounds, not because the paper is valuable, but because everyone believes everyone else will accept it tomorrow. That shared belief supports hundreds of trillions of dollars in global assets. Entire economies exist because strangers trust each other. Lose that trust, and everything changes. Just ask 2008. When confidence disappeared during the financial crisis, trillions of dollars vanished in months. Buildings stayed where they were. Factories still existed. People still knew their jobs. But prices collapsed. Why? Because markets don't just value reality. They value expectations. The most expensive asset can lose half its value if enough people stop believing in it. But belief isn't limited to money. It also powers the newest financial revolution. Bitcoin doesn't have a headquarters. It doesn't have a CEO. It doesn't produce products, yet at times, investors have valued it at over $2 trillion. Some call it digital gold. Others call it speculation. Either way, it proved something extraordinary. An asset doesn't have to be physical. Sometimes scarcity alone creates value. But even Bitcoin isn't the most valuable asset ever, because one asset quietly outperformed nearly everything else for centuries: time. Imagine two investors. One starts investing at 20, the other waits until 40. Even if the second invests twice as much every month, the first often ends up richer. Not because they invested more, but because time invested for them. Albert Einstein supposedly called compound interest the eighth wonder of the world. Whether he actually said it or not, the math certainly deserves the title. Compounding turns patience into wealth. It transforms ordinary savings into extraordinary fortunes. And unlike money, time can never be borrowed back. Which finally brings us to the most valuable financial asset ever. It isn't gold, it isn't oil, it isn't real estate, it isn't Apple, it isn't Bitcoin, it isn't even money. It's productive human knowledge. Every dollar in the global economy ultimately exists because someone learned how to create something another person wanted. Ideas built companies. Companies built markets. Markets built economies. Economies built civilization. Money simply follows value. The greatest fortunes in history weren't created by printing cash. They were created by solving problems. The world's most valuable asset isn't something hidden in a vault. It's the human ability to create value from nothing more than an idea. Because fortunes come and go, currencies rise and fall, markets crash, empires disappear, but every generation discovers new ways to create wealth. And that's why the richest place on earth has never been a bank. It's always been the human mind.